North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer. Senator, great to have you on this morning. You were very kind to apologize for Democrats' behavior during that hearing. Can you talk about what you saw in that room yesterday and how you think Pete Hegseth did?
Well, what I saw and what embarrassed me on behalf of the institution really was the questioning just before mine, where remembering that so many of the accusations against Pete have either been completely discredited or at the very least unfounded. And so absent a foundation, what they tried to do was say, yeah, okay, so this didn't really happen, but if it had, would that disqualify you? Well, what a crazy question. What a crazy line of questioning. It was desperate is what it was, and they appeared desperate. And I just felt like, come on, you guys, you have 7 minutes of your life to ask him serious questions about the future of the United States military and his role as a potential Secretary of Defense, and they chose to go down this, yeah, but if it really was true, would that disqualify you, knowing that it really isn't true? I just thought it was silly on so many levels. But I also thought it was really ineffective, which is what surprised me the most, is that they didn't land a single blow. With regard to how did Pete do, I don't think that he just survived it. I think he excelled through it. And that at the end of that day yesterday, at the end of those roughly 4.25 hours of him taking the incoming, and by the way, in case people hadn't noticed, these witnesses generally have, 3-ring binders of answers for questions. He didn't have so much as a postcard. Everything he said was from his heart and from his head, from his experience, from his depth of understanding, and from his philosophy. It was very refreshing. I think that at the end of all of that, if you were to do a survey of all of the people in America that watched that, they would say, we need to get him in the Secretary of Defense's office as soon as possible.
Yeah, truly a warfighter and not a politician. So obviously, as you said, Senator, the attacks didn't work. But more importantly, soon after the hearing, he won the critical backing of your colleague, Republican Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, who announced she would be supporting him. That pretty much sets this thing on the course for confirmation.
It certainly does. Certainly, he'll be confirmed out of the committee, which is a very important step, obviously, because many of the other members of the Senate, much like me, when I'm not a member of the committee that has jurisdiction that's doing the questioning, you lean on those folks. And in the case of Senator Ernst, this is a warfighter herself. She was a National Guardsman. She was a commander deployed in the Army. And of course, she's been a fierce fighter for women's rights and against sexual abuse in the military. Her credentials are impeccable. She's earned them the hard way. And so her opinion matters more than most. So I think you're exactly right. I think this sets Pete up to get every Republican vote for sure in the Armed Services Committee and probably sail through. And my hope now, guys, is that we do it quickly, that the Democrats don't hold this up, that they don't use the tricks of the trade, if you will, to deny the United States of America their Secretary of Defense at a time when the world's on fire. And we basically had a Secretary of Defense AWOL for the last 4 years.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.